Alright, in this lesson we're going to build up a funk groove with the swinging 16th subdivision. So you can hear that in the hi-hats there. Tick, 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 as opposed to straight, which is tick, 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 tick. Alright, we're going to play in G dominant 7, so a G mixolydian funk groove. And you can just play along, you can try and match my suggestions or just use them as inspiration for your own thing. So let's have a jam, here we go. So we're going to start with hitting the root note on the first beat of the bar. Just feel where that 1 is. And we can lead into that beat with some other notes. So I'm just doing chromatic run into it there. Alright, now we're going to add some chords in the right hand. We'll play the G major on the beats 2 and 4. So G major is G, B, and D. We'll play that all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can still do our lead-ins. Alright, now we're going to make this chord a little bit more funky. We're going to make it a G7, and to do that, that's G7 in root position, but we're going to put that 7 underneath the root, like this. And now I don't actually need to play the G in the right hand, I could just kind of strip it back like this. But this is also an option if you want a thicker texture, or you could use other notes in the chord scale, like the 9 here. But for now, I'm just going to strip it back to this 3-note chord. So we're getting the feeling of the root on 1 and the backbeat. The backbeat is where the snare hits in the groove. Alright, now let's talk about the subdivision, and we're going to ghost on those subdivisions, which means we're going to play some kind of... We're going to outline that subdivision with some lighter notes, and that's called ghost notes. So, essentially, what I'm using is my thumbs. Every now and then a few other fingers, but I'm basically just feathering on that bottom note of the right hand chord. And I'm making sure I'm feeling that swing subdivision. So swinging 16s. Now let's add it with the chords. Make your own combinations. These are just suggestions. Just some ideas for you to give a go. And those ghost notes can be on any note of the scale. Okay, cool. Now let's add some syncopation. So at the moment I've just been kind of hitting those chords on 2 and 4, but what if I tried some different things? And make your own patterns. These are just suggestions. Okay, so the right hand chord has just been kind of stuck in that same position. So let's kind of move it up and down the scale now. Now the scale I'm working from is G mixolydian, which is what we use over G7. And G mixolydian is actually all the white notes on the piano, which is kind of cool. So it's like a major scale, but you flatten the 7. So anytime you hear someone say Mixolydian, it's like a major scale with a flattened 7. Okay, and we're going to move that shape, which I'm thinking of as 2 notes with 2 notes in between and 1 note with 1 note in between. So it's kind of like that shape there. We're just going to move it up the scale. Play with all these sort of shapes up that scale, but I'm just going to use the first 3. That's probably the most common. And make your own patterns. Have a little play with that idea. Alright, let's make it a little bit more bluesy. I'm going to add some grace notes. So a really important note in this G7 chord is this 3rd here. So when I say 3rd, I mean 1, 3, 5, but I'm talking about this 3rd. And if we can slip onto that major 3rd from the minor 3rd, it kind of makes that kind of nice bluesy sound. And we can slip onto the 5th as well. So these are my grace notes that I'm using. When I'm playing them in the chord, I'm playing the whole chord with that flattened note and I'm slipping on the next subdivision. So I'm just kind of holding those outer notes while the middle slips. So I'll do it on that shape. Notice I can't slip on the white to white. And then this one's cool too. Do them all the time. I'm just kind of overdoing it so you get the idea. Okay, we've been hanging in that G7 progression, just hanging on that one chord, but let's actually change the chord progression. We're going to do a 1-4 progression. So the 4 in this scale is C. And we'll make that a C7. Okay, I'm just going to mention something here. When you're playing the C7, because the B flat is part of that chord, we don't play that B natural. Otherwise that really clashes with it. See? Kind of creates a sound that we're not really after. See what I mean? So when we're doing our parallel chords like those patterns there, I'm making sure that I keep it like a minor 3rd on the C, like that. So I'm not slipping it into the B natural when I'm on the C. Let's talk about shell voicings. Shell voicings are just the essential notes of a chord. So we've got 3 essential notes of these chords. We've got the root. I'll show you in G first. The root, and we've got the 3rd of the chord and the 7th of the chord. Right? And now with the C, we've got our root and the 3rd of the chord. I'm playing it up here. And the 7th of the chord, which I'm playing there. And the reason I've inverted it like that is because you'll notice the 3rds and the 7ths just slip down semitone to semitone. Or I could invert those shapes. So I'll do my 7th here and my 3rd here, and my 3rd here and my 7th there. So just playing with these 3 notes. this is a nice little technique if you just want to strip back the texture, make it kind of a little bit light, and you can kind of play with some other notes. So these are the shell voicings for G7 and C7. Alright, what we're going to do now is add a turnaround. So often when you've been kind of jamming on a 1 to a 4, it's nice to have a few chords just to break it up and to create a little bit of tension, a little bit of something different. And we're going to do a very common 2-5 turnaround. I'll show it in context, just with short voicings for now. So my 2 chord is A, A7. So you can see here I've got my root, my 3rd and my 7th. I've inverted it like that just because it was a bit closer to the last shape I had. Because essentially we use inversion so we don't have to jump the hand around from the last shape. So we're making it nice and smooth movements. So the A7 and now our D7, which is our 5 chord, and we're going to do root, 3rd, 7. And once again, they're just a semitone apart. A and D. See that? A and D. Alright, so in context with our 1, 4, and we'll do the 1, 4, 3 times, and on the 4th time we'll do our turnaround. You can see why 2-5-1s work so well, hey, because of those close smoothing shell voicings. 2, 5, and back to 1. Alright, let's extend the chords again. See, I've just added that D on the top, which makes a G7, and now I'm making it C9. I'll go back to the parallel chords a bit later on. Then A7, and now I'm going to add a D7 sharp 9, and the reason is that creates a lot of tension. Here it's really tense because you got that that minor 3rd over the major sound, which wants to resolve back to home. C9, and here's our 2-5. A, D7 sharp 9, and back to 1. I'll go back to the parallel chords, remembering to flatten the 3rd on the C. Alright, let's add a few other things. Okay, we're going to start adding a few riffs just to kind of break it up. And this first one I'm going to do is from the major pentatonic scale, and I'm going to bounce off the 6th note of the scale. So that's E. Variations on that. Alright, and now we'll look at the G blues scale. So 2 shapes, G, B flat, C, D, F, G. So same kind of shapes. And in between those 2 shapes we've got our blues note. Alright, and now we'll just add a few riffs in between our groove here. what you come up with. Let's talk about double stops. Double stops is basically riffs, but we can use a note that goes over, so two notes at the same time, essentially. The most common one is using that G at the top, that tonic note at the top, and any sort of phrase at the bottom. Alright, let's add it back to our groove. Try and keep it in the pocket. Now the double stop doesn't have to just be the tonic all the time. I like this one using the 6 over the top. Notice I'm holding the E over the top. Now I'm going to try that double stop idea, but I'm going to take those last two notes of the chords we've been doing. Remember to drop to B flat on the C. And we're going to add that root note over the top, like the double stop idea. Let's kind of extend our subdivision. So we're feeling that duck, 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 duck. Essentially, those swinging 16s are coming from triplets. So if I was to play triplet on every beat, it would sound like this. So 2 triplets per beat. 1 and then 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can kind of play with our ghosting with that, okay? Okay, so I'm just kind of feeling that as bar, 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 bar. So it's kind of cool to play with those triplet subdivisions every now and then. And you can also do the riffs along the way. So feeling those triplets, like 2 triplets per beat. Just playing around with it in the ghosting. Alright, now we've been playing in this second inversion shape, which is kind of where you've got that larger interval below and the smaller one at the top. We're going to invert it so we've got the smaller interval at the bottom and the larger interval at the top. And just try that up the scale. Okay, I've merged into my 15th I did. Talking about these slides where we have a shape and we're just going to approach it from chromatic below it. on our original shapes there. Okay, and one final idea to end it off. These octave full stops. So at the end of the phrase, I like to do this little thing. It's kind of like a sort of full stop at the end of a sentence. That's how I like to think of it. So all I'm doing is I'm doing an octave on beat 4 and the 4 E and A. 4 and A. 4 to A. Da 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 da. And I'm bouncing off the 6 notes. Da. And I can add my grace notes there if I want. Alright, let's try and add all these ideas together. Here we go. You've enjoyed jamming along. Remember to make your own variations. Just have fun with these ideas. Happy practicing. I'll see you in the next video.